Deforestation is the practice of cutting down forests for various different reasons, but it's fundamentally cutting down trees and leaving behind a vast open wasteland.
Environmental issues of our day and age is deforestation. It is defined as the clearing of trees for non-forest use. Although this seems innocent enough, the effects are detrimental. Some of the effects result in soil erosion, desertification, flooding, and loss of habitat, as well as so many other things. It's being done in excessive amounts, and it needs to be stopped.
The best solution would be to implement new laws and regulations. In doing so, we could effectively spread the issue and educate more people on the consequences it has and the things they can do to help. New laws and regulations could reduce corporate forest clearing, the leading cause of deforestation.
This could change the concept of forestry from an economic game to the development of a relationship between industry and the environment. Lastly, this solution could introduce new techniques that would preserve the trees and work to save the planet.
And I ended up in the Gombe National Park. I spent many, many years in that beautiful forest. When I arrived in 1960, you could go all the way along the shore of Lake Tanganyika, and it was forest stretching as far as the eye could see. Climb up the hills, look to the east, trees.
If we look at the earth as one body, the trees work as the lungs, cleaning the air that we breathe and effectively giving life to everyone on the planet. Even if we were to just look at South America alone, rainforests are responsible for 20% of Earth's oxygen. As more and more trees are cleared, things like climate change, soil erosion, flooding, and loss of habitat become bigger and bigger issues.
Many people have no idea how important the topic of deforestation is. In our daily lives, we're surrounded by the benefits the trees can provide, spanning from the palm oil in our Coca-Cola to the wood that structures our homes. But we never take a second to think about where it came from.
Future effects of climate change are temperatures continuing to rise, frost-free season and growing season lengthening, changes in precipitation patterns, more droughts and heat waves, hurricanes will become stronger and more intense, sea level will rise 1 to 4 feet by 2100, and the Arctic will likely become ice-free. Some current impacts are sea levels rising, extreme heat, heavy downpours, a reduction/decrease in water supply/availability, an increase in wildfires and insect outbreaks.
Trees are also very important because they act as water reservoirs. And because of this, flooding could become an even bigger issue due to deforestation. Globally, there are only 20% of our forests still intact. This can and will heavily affect several roles that trees play in retaining and restoring water into any environment. These roles include some rainwater staying on the leaves, which could evaporate into the air directly, the leaves preventing greater impact of raindrops, which cause less erosion, the roots absorbing more water, which means the soil could then accumulate more water itself, and roots holding the soil in place so it can't move as much and won't shrink river channels downstream. If the number of trees we have globally continues to decrease, we will have more flooding issues in the future.
If we continue to cut down and remove a lot of trees at such an alarming rate, it can help cause more soil erosion. For those of you who don't know what that is, soil erosion is the washing or blowing away of the top layer of soil. It can lead to water pollution as well as the impairment of crop productivity. As far as water pollution goes, sediment makes it harder for light to penetrate the water, which affects the aquatic plants and algae and could eventually use up the supply of oxygen in the water. Now looking at crop productivity, soil erosion can affect the availability of water and help create a loss of essential nutrients for plants. The largest culprit of deforestation is industry. Large corporations rapidly clear trees without worrying about replacing them, preserving the habitats, or protecting the native species. The most common cases of corporate forestry are clearing the land for livestock, urbanization, and logging operations to provide lumber and various prized ingredients.
One of the purposes of deforestation is urban sprawl. Urban sprawl is the expansion of human population into undeveloped land near a city or an urban area. A projection of urban expansion over the next 20 years is seen to get rid of hundreds of thousands of acres of biodiversity hotspots, which are areas of biodiversity that have already lost at least 70% of their habitat. Not only will this alter the biodiversity, but it could also increase the rate of climate change, increase chances of successful invasive species, and generate the release of tons of carbon dioxide. To be more specific, about 5 billion tons of carbon dioxide.
Slash and burn agriculture is when trees are cut down then burned. This is used for farming purposes to put minerals/nutrients back into the soil. This only lasts for so long, so after a while more land needs to be cleared to start the process again. Trees and vegetation are completely cleared and nothing is left. It isn't known how long it would take for forests to recover. This is one of the most destructive of the deforestation methods.
Such a focus on economic gains has promoted means of illegal logging. Valuable resources like rubber and palm oil sell for high prices, and the WWF reports that half of the trees illegally removed from forests are used as fuel. Corruption fuels illegal logging and unsustainable forest management, which in turn can fuel organized crime or even armed conflict. Our solution starts with cracking down on corruption and ensuring fair enforcement of forest conservation rules.
In the greater Mekong and Southeast Asia, where land tenure systems are weak, deforestation has contributed to social conflict and migration in Brazil. Poor people have been lured from their villages to remote soy plantations, where they may be abused and forced at gunpoint to work under inhumane conditions.
With new regulations, we can better manage how trees are removed and direct more efforts towards using what we need instead of taking as much as we can. Deforestation has terrible effects on the ecosystems around the world. It can contribute to the loss of habitats of millions of species and strain the lives of already endangered animals.
This is particularly an issue in the rainforests of the Amazon, home to 80% of the world's biodiversity. Once a species loses their home in a forest, they're thrown into dangerous situations where they're more susceptible to hunting and poaching. Their numbers then dwindle and some species will eventually go extinct.
For selective logging, only certain trees will be cut down and removed. 3% of those cut down are harvested, but that's only out of the 49% of trees that are damaged. The time that it takes for vegetation to grow back is about 50 years.
The first thing we have to do is support and protect and conserve our existing ecosystems and our existing forest systems.
Sustainable development means building in ways that have minimal harmful impact on the environment. Factors include the location of the development, the methods used to clear land, and the types of wood used in the development.
In the past, from 60s to 70s, whatsoever that you got from the forestry area is far better than where there is no forest. the system now has changed in such a way that they cut all the trees, and it made food now difficult for one to come.
Sustainable forestry practices include controlled burning to encourage forest regeneration, continually monitoring the health of the forest, and working with local communities to ensure the preservation of cultural heritage related to the forest.
A system like agroforestry, that approach requires people talking to each other. It requires valuing the farmer and their role.
But I want to say again,
to me, a farmer is one of the most important professions in the world, because even the president of the country is going to, at some point, depend on you.
We aren't the first ones to bring up deforestation, and we certainly won't be the last. Around the globe, people are finding new ways to combat this issue. Some alternative solutions include recycling, planting more trees, and finding more sustainable food sources. At smaller scales, these have been successful, and some will argue that they are some of the best options.
Though there are other options, our solution is the best because it works through the government and large corporations. The new laws and regulations that will be enforced have the potential to influence and education the entire world. It would promote the cause and encourage more people to join in and do what they can to save the trees.
It could also change the face of forestry economics. These regulations could ensure that companies are only taking the materials that they need in a manner that does the least amount of harm. This in turn could lower crime rates and improve the lives of many workers and forest natives in underdeveloped nations.
We really needed to act a long time ago, and we can see already what has happened from not acting. We have a chance right now to do something about that. Be part of the solution.
All in all, deforestation is one of the biggest environmental issues of our day. It results in soil erosion, desertification, flooding, loss of habitats, and more. The best solution for decreasing deforestation is to implement new laws and regulations. This will provide education about deforestation and the consequences of it, and the things people can do to help. If these laws are implemented, it could reduce the leading cause of deforestation, corporate forest clearing. When trees are destroyed by man's activities, the only means of replacing what has been cut down is through reforestation efforts. Some state and federal initiatives support these efforts by providing incentives to landowners who replace trees on their property. In the logging industry, it is now often mandated that after an area has been cleared, new trees must be replanted in the area where the trees have been cut down. This protects the environment and also promotes the sustainability of the logging industry as a whole.
Sacred grove, each hillside covered green with trees has the power to heal a weary land. We got to sanctify that ground, don't let them cut the big trees down. Every forest holds a key to nature's plan. Each ancient tree is a legacy of life. Every tree is a thing that must survive. They will clean our dirty air if we'll just handle them with care. Every tree is a thing that must survive. Each sacred grove, each hillside covered green with trees has the power to heal a weary land. We got sanctity.